Welcome to the Fear and Greed Afternoon Report for Tuesday, the 8th of November, 2022. I'm Michael Thompson. Every afternoon, we've got the 5 stories that happened today that you need to know about, so let's jump into it. Story number 1, Australian shares closed higher today. The S&P ASX 200 lifted 0.4% to 6,959 points. Mineral Resources was the biggest large cap gainer, up nearly 5%, while Pilbara Minerals lifted 4.4%. Those gains were on the back of some bullish price forecasts for lithium from an analyst. The Lottery Corporation jumped nearly 4% after outlining plans to lift the price of Powerball tickets. It was spun out of Tabcorp earlier this year and says it's lifted revenue 11% for the first few months of 2023. And on the other side of the ledger, James Hardie Industries slumped 13.7% today after warning of a global housing slowdown. The energy companies were also weaker. Whitehaven fell 5.5%, New Hope Corporation fell 7.8%, and gas major Santos slumped more than 5%. That comes after threats of price caps in the energy sector. The dollar was pretty steady. It is currently buying around 64.5 US cents. On to story number 2 now, which is linked to story number 1 because I mentioned James Hardie, and the company has issued a profit warning due to weaker housing markets, saying net profit for FY23 will fall below its previous expectations. James Hardie makes fibre cement cladding used for home building, so it's highly exposed to the rate of new home construction around the world. It says profit after tax for the half year to September rose 22% to $300 million US dollars. But it has warned that reductions in home building activity amid macroeconomic disruption and rising inflation means that it is starting to see softening volumes across its operations. James Hardie says there has been significant change to the outlook for housing market activity in the last 45 days. Story number 3, Treasury has given the government the go-ahead to intervene in energy markets. A statement read to Senate estimates on behalf of Treasury Secretary Stephen Kennedy today said increases in coal and gas prices caused by the war in Ukraine were important enough to, quote, bring into scope government intervention. Now, that doesn't actually mean that it's going to happen, but it does represent a pretty major shift for the Conservative Treasury Department, which would normally be expected to argue for leaving things to market forces. Now, the government is waiting for a report from the Australian Competition and Consumer Commission later this month before making a decision on how to solve the gas crisis. On to story number 4, and consumer confidence has taken a hit. There were 2 surveys out today, one from ANZ and Roy Morgan, and the other one from Westpac. The ANZ survey measures how people feel about their finances and, among other things, asks if it's a good time to buy a major household item. In this survey, most people say no. Westpac's survey also shows sentiment continues to plumb historic lows. Worryingly, about 40% of people plan to cut back Christmas spending, which is the highest proportion since Westpac started asking the question in its monthly survey way back in 2009. Finally, story number 5 today, voting in the US midterm elections is about to get underway tonight. Pundits say the Republicans should win a comfortable majority in the House and a slim majority in the Senate. That would give them the ability to put a stop to President Joe Biden's legislative agenda for the next 2 years. It may also see the Republicans investigate and possibly impeach Joe Biden and block any Supreme Court nomination. So we will see how this plays out over the next couple of days. That's it for the afternoon report for Tuesday, the 8th of November, 2022. Don't forget to hit follow on the podcast and find Fear and Greed on LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Join Adam Lang and I tomorrow morning for the Fast 5 by Fear and Greed, the top 5 business stories you need to know in just 5 minutes. I'm Michael Thompson. Enjoy your evening.